Hello and welcome back to day 2 of the Classroom Management Mini-Course, 3 days to regain control. In the first video, we talked about how to develop your plan, how to get your students' attention and eliminate distractions, and how to plan your classroom shakeup. I hope you've got your plan ready because today we're going to talk about how to execute it. If for any reason you did miss that first video, you're going to want to pause this one and go back and check out that first video because you're going to be a little bit lost otherwise. All right, here we go. Today we're going to talk about how to execute your classroom shakeup and teach your new procedures to ensure that everything goes well so that things will actually change. I said at the end of the last video, you do not want things to go back to the way they were the day after your shakeup. You want to do things right and execute it correctly so that you actually do see change. So if you're going to pull this off, there's a few things you need to do. First of all, before you even attempt your shakeup, you need to think about your demeanor as a teacher. You know, a lot of times we teachers get in trouble because we have this desire within us to be our students' friends. And I think that desire comes from the right place. It comes from a desire to make a difference. It comes from a desire to help our students. But if we are trying to be our students' friends, it's just not going to work well. That demeanor does not work. When you're trying to be their friend, you're going to make mistakes. It's going to cause you to treat students differently, and it's going to cause you to actually lose their respect in many cases. So, does that mean you're supposed to be aloof? No, not at all. What you should do instead, though, is instead of focusing on being a friend, you need to focus on being their mentor. View yourself as a mentor, not a friend. Well, what's the difference? Well, a mentor is not a peer, right? A mentor is there to guide a student, to help them, to counsel them, but you're not on the same level as far as, treating them like a buddy. You're clearly the authority figure in the situation. So if you've been kind of thinking yourself as I want to be friends with my students, stop and start seeing yourself as their mentor. Along with that, another mistake is focusing on being liked instead of focusing on being respected. Now this is very similar, but often, everybody wants to be liked, right? No one goes into their class thinking, I hope my students hate me. That'd be crazy. But are you focusing on being liked? Because if you are, chances are that's causing you to make some bad decisions. And ironically, if you're focusing on being liked, you probably are making bad decisions, and as a result, your students probably don't respect you, and they may not even like you as a result. So instead of focusing on being liked, once again, you need to switch your mindset and focus on being respected and focus on being an effective teacher that your students will respect. And when they do, if you focus on that, chances are the majority of them will like you because they will enjoy your class and they will enjoy being in it. So don't be a friend, be a mentor. Don't focus on being respected, focus on being liked. Finally, in having the right demeanor, you need to be both kind and firm. Sometimes we teachers tend to think it's either or. I can either be kind and nice or I can be strict and firm. But the reality is you need to be both. You need to be nice. You should be personable, understanding, fun to be around. These are important. If you're mean, students might obey you, but they're not going to respect you, and you're not going to be able to have a real impact. So you need to be nice and understanding. But at the same time, you also need to be strict. You need to have high expectations. You should not be a pushover. You should be dealing with issues that come up. They can go together. You can kindly deal with an issue. You can firmly tell a student that they need to do something differently. You can be both. So that's really important to have the right demeanor. You're their mentor. You're focusing on being respected. You are both kind and firm. When you have the right demeanor, you are ready to attempt your classroom shakeup. So let's talk about that a little bit now. The classroom shakeup itself. Remember we said our goal is to use actions, not just words, to show your students that things will be different. And we use the example that the students are going to show up at your classroom. We said, let's say there's this teacher who's having trouble with students coming into their classroom at the start of the day or at the start of class. They're going to close the door, lock the door, and when students try to get in the classroom, they won't be able to. All right, so let's say you have everything ready. It's the day of the shakeup. You've told the office. They know what to expect. Your students are now outside and they're getting confused. They thought they see you there. You're here. Wait, the teacher's not here, they think. And then they see, no, she's here. Why can't we get in the room? And so you now have their attention. That's what you want to do. You want to wait until they ask you, why is the door locked? What's going on? So wait until they ask you. Now you have their attention. All right, now is the time not to lecture. This is not the time to give a full lecture on all the things they've been doing wrong and how disappointed you are. No, we are using actions and as few words as possible for the classroom shakeup. This is the time to calmly explain how things will be different. So in this example, you get your class's attention and you say, the door is shut because we have had extreme problems walking into the room. From now on, this is how you will walk into the room. You will walk in calmly and quietly. You will go directly to your seat, sit down, put your books away, and get out the bell work. All right, we're going to do it now. It's very calm, very matter of fact. You're not mad. You're not upset. You're just explaining how things are going to be. And your students should kind of be like, wait, what's going on here? Like, this is not the same teacher we're used to. It should kind of take them off guard how calm and just insistent that you are. This is how it's going to be. All right, so you've done that. You have the classroom shakeup. The next thing we need to do is actually teach the procedure. Okay, so you've already, step one in teaching a new procedure is explain it. So you've already done that. You've explained exactly what you want your students to do. Notice I was detailed. I did not just say, we're going to come in the room correctly. All right, what does that mean? You know, I said specifically, you're going to walk, you're going to go directly to your seat, you're going to put your things away, you're going to get out your paper. So I explained exactly what I wanted. All right, that is not enough though. All right, if you just do that and then you walk away, a couple students are going to do that, but not everyone is, and it's going to go right back to how it was. So the next thing you need to do is you need to practice it. So you need to say, okay, class, here we go. We're going to go in the room, and I expect you to walk in quietly, go directly to your seats, get out your things, and get started. All right, so let's do it. So you actually practice the procedure right then and there. Whatever you want them to do differently, you're going to practice it now. After that, you are still not done. It's very, very important, step 3, that you correct anything that's done wrong. And this is where the magic happens, okay? This and then the next step I'm about to tell you. So you've told your students to do this. The majority of your students, hopefully, will do that. They'll just kind of be like, wait, what's going on? They'll be like, oh, okay, this is the new thing for the day, I guess. I guess we got to go quietly. So they'll do it. But there will be those few students that don't. Now, I do not want you to get mad at them. I don't want you to say, I just told you. Okay, no, we're not lecturing. We're not getting mad. We're not even giving consequences or anything like that at this point. We are simply going to correct it. And then number 4, ask them to redo it. Okay, so let's say the majority of your class comes right in. They go to their seats. But let's say Elijah, no, he just like runs for the door. You say, Elijah, no. Remember, we are walking into class. I want you to go back outside and try it again. And I don't care if these are seniors in high school. You have them do it again, because that's how they will learn that you're serious. All right, so you correct it, you have them redo it. All right, let's say, so Elijah runs into the room. Then you notice that Hannah's over talking to Becky. Say, oh, Hannah, no, we're not going to talk to our friends when we come in. Once you enter the room, you are to go directly to your seat. I want you to try again. Go ahead and leave the room, and I want you to come in and go directly to your seat. And you have Hannah do that again, okay? So once again, you are correcting every little thing that you see, and you're having them redo it. That shows them that I actually expect things to change, and they're going to change. I'm not just saying this, you actually need to do it differently. Give them grace. This is new for them. They haven't been doing this like this all year. But go ahead and do expect that. By the way, if this is the beginning of a school year that you're about to start, you do the same thing. you correct, you redo, all right? Because they have lots of procedures they're learning and they need to practice it. The only time you're actually giving consequences is if someone is just refusing to obey. Okay, so if you've told them to do it, you correct them and they still aren't doing it, then I would simply say something like, please step out in the hallway, I need to talk with you later. And I would just keep the rest of the class on track and get that student out of the room, so the rest of the class can learn you're serious and you can deal with that student separately. But that's only if someone's purposefully refusing to follow your directions. If they just did it wrong, you just want to correct them and have them redo it. All right, let's review. We first talked about developing the right demeanor. Then we were talking about our shake-up. We talked about using actions, not words, about calmly explaining what you want your students to do, then having them practice it, correcting mistakes, and having them redo anything they did incorrectly. I want to take 1 second and talk a little bit, though, about that part of dealing with problems while they're small. Because this was the biggest mistake I made when I first started teaching. Because here's the problem. When I first started teaching, I didn't really want to whack kids on the head for the little things. Someone's talking, whispering, it's not that big of a deal. They got their head down, it's not that big of a deal. I didn't want to give a punishment or anything. It's not a big deal. But what happened is all those not so big deal things didn't stay little. They grew. If you don't correct little things, students think, oh, this is fine. I guess we can kind of do what we want. And they'll try some not so little things. And if you don't deal with those, then they'll try bigger things. And it's like a snowball effect. And it gets to the point where you're like, there's 50 things going on in my classroom right now. How can I even deal with any of them? All right. So when you do your shake-up, that's your opportunity to kind of reset. And from here on out in this area, you want to deal with things while they're small, okay? Now, deal with does not mean give a consequence. Deal with simply means what we just talked about. Address it and ask them to correct it, okay? So, if you set up we'll use the same example. The next day when they're coming in, if someone is running a little bit, you correct that. You ask them to redo it. All right. If someone doesn't go directly to their seat, they go to talk to a friend, you correct that. If someone's sitting at their desk daydreaming, you ask them, please get out your things. You're very on top of things in the beginning because you're trying to show your students that you mean what you say and you want it done this certain way. And if you are insistent and you deal with those problems while they're small, they should stay pretty small for the most part. Yes, you'll still have bigger problems, but they'll be much smaller than if you let the little things go and then it gets more and more out of control. So deal with problems while they're small. You'll save yourselves a lot of headaches. The last piece of advice I have for you is after that initial push. So for those first couple days, you are being hyper vigilant. You are dealing with every little problem. But after those first few days, hopefully your class should be settling into a new routine. After that, the key is to stay consistent, okay? Now here's the thing. We all struggle with consistency. If you don't, you are amazing, okay? But I know I do. Here's the thing though. When you mess up, when you either forget to deal with someone or you don't see something or you know you should deal with it but you just didn't, don't let that throw you off. Sometimes we missed, I just saw she did this and I didn't correct her. Now I can't correct anybody. Don't fall into that trap. No, it was just a mistake on your part. You need say in your mind, I am dealing with the very next problem. I missed that one. It's too late now. I am dealing with the next one. And if you do that, you will be right back on track and everything will be fine. What's bad is when you keep letting those inconsistencies pile up. Don't let them pile up. They will happen, but get back on the horse and keep moving on. All right, are you ready? So don't delay. If your plan is in place, it's time to execute it. And I hope you'll see some tremendous results. Your plan is ready, and you should be seeing some big steps towards regaining classroom control. But I don't want you to miss day 3 of this series, because there's one more very important piece of the puzzle. And if you miss this one, you're really missing the whole point, and you're not going to have much of a long-term impact. Besides, you're not content to just survive teaching, are you? Tomorrow we're going to talk about day 3, and that's how to thrive as a teacher and have long-term impact. You will not want to miss the tips and resources we're going to be sharing tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, go execute your plan.